Hey everybody, Andy here. Thursday, live office hours. Good times coming here. Great to see everybody. August 19th. You know, I just feel great. You know, I feel like summer's just getting here, even though I know it's almost over. But any season of the year, I love being with you. So hopefully you're here with me live, but if not, and you're watching this on the recording, great to have you too. If you are here with me, get in the chat, say hi, let me know who you are, let me know what you do, and where you're from. And if you're in one of those faraway lands, let me know what time zone you're in. And let me know what you need. Put some question marks in front of your questions. If you're in one of my programs, let me know. Let's get right on a rolling. Hey, Stacy, one thing I forgot to tell you in the Slack. Make sure we also got the boot camp link as well for today, because it's on special. I'll make some announcements at the bottom of the hour. Let's start getting to some of the questions here. And I always love to say hi to people like Adam Stark, and Stacy's telling me, let's see, my chant starts with, we had a question from Dewey, Larasati, my boot camper, if you're here, I think you had a question, maybe it disappeared. You know, sometimes what happens is you guys get here so early, which I love, and then you put your questions in, and sometimes we lose them. And we can't figure out exactly how that happens, but occasionally it does. But we will locate them if we can. Let's see. I think Dewey had a question here. Said knew the VP when we were in the same company was not a close relationship. No communication for 6 years. No vacant position. Ads. Suggestion to put on the boss hunting email. Dewey, I would reach out like you were old friends. Even if you were not close, but you had some relationship with the person, I would probably say something on the order of, hey, so-and-so, I'm reaching out to you because I noticed you're working at an organization that I was targeting as part of my job search. I remember you from, insert the company name here, when we worked together 6 years or so ago. And then go in and say, I was really happy I came across you. And I've noticed that it's always okay to say that you've become aware that they have evolved since you've seen them, right? So you want to say something like, it looks like you've been doing well since you left, or something like that, or it looks like you've accomplished a lot, especially as it relates to, so make some kind of warm connection and show them that you made an observation. And a lot of times what happens with people, especially in the senior to junior relationship, a lot of times if people worked with you a long time ago, what often happens is they freeze you in a moment in time, as if you were that junior business analyst 10 years ago, and they're thinking, well, hey, this is great, I need a business analyst right now, you'd be perfect. And you're more like the senior director of something or another now. And so a lot of times you have to recalibrate their thinking. And you can always say in your message, much like you, I've come a long way since doing, insert, and so on, and do the same kind of thing. Those are the things that I would put in there. And Dewey, one other thing, we have two private coaching sessions next week for members of the coaching program, the job search coaching program, which are the boot campers. And I would love to know if you reached out and used something like that next week, Wednesday. Maybe let me know if and how they responded. That's great. That's a great question. All right, let's see. What else? Adam Stark, Dana's here. Let me say a quick few hellos. Jen Carlson, how you doing? And who else? Rainforest, whoever you are. Aylin, one of my favorite Canadians, and Vanessa and Deb Chapman with her new job and making a lot more money, and Kurt, my lifetimer, and everything too. Okay, great to see you. Great to see you all. Okay, Adam Stark, recent film experience. You had 6 years of this, 6 years, and then 5 years of irrelevant jobs, and then do the non-relevant jobs need bullets? Resume's too long, how to structure? Okay, so let me. This is a fantastic question, by the way. But let me say a couple of things. Remember this, that everything that I teach you or anything that you learn and anything that you do, most, let's call it 99% of the time, these are suggestions based on hopefully some sound evidence like data, results, patterns you've observed, and things of that nature. But when it comes to something like a resume, and the instruction that I give you where I like a certain flow to it, and I'm always giving you the best tactics, the best approach, those kinds of things, recognize that we're all different. We've all had different histories. That's one thing. And the other thing is your resume is a marketing document. It is not a work history document. It is not a work history document. You use your work history as data or info that you put into the paperwork. That's it. How you package that up should be done with the goal in mind and the resume's goal. The resume only has one goal. It's it. It's really simple. It's to get you a job interview. The faster it gets somebody to make up their mind that they want to speak with you live or on the phone or in a Zoomer or whatever, the better the resume is. Now, there's many different ways to accomplish that. The lessons that I've given you and the structure that I've taught you, I think does it the best and the fastest with the greatest results, in that it has the most widespread friendliness. So if you're going into a system, it works. If you're doing it for somebody who's scanning it, the human eye, it works. Now, going back to what I just said about it's a marketing document. It is basically selling you into an interview. If those jobs are irrelevant as far as you consider them to be, and you truly don't have anything related to those jobs that you think is relevant, then on the one hand, I would say you don't need to spend a lot of time on it. On the other hand, I would say you ain't looking hard enough, because I don't know about you, but everything I've ever done in my life has some relevant value to what I'm doing right now. It does. That job I hated in 2004 applies to today, right? The first job out of college applies to today. Things I learned in college apply today. Things I learned in the book I read yesterday apply to today. So what you want to do is you want to put information in to make the irrelevant look relevant, because that better sells you. So how do you do that? You're going to ask me, right? That's fair. So I would always be thinking about those jobs that you held in those 5 years. What did you do where you developed a capability that you would now apply to recent film experience or whatever it is? What did you learn? What skill? Did you learn better communication? Did you learn creativity? Did you learn whatever it is that you learned? That's what I would highlight in those bullets. And that's the way I would package that. I would never miss an opportunity to sell myself wherever it was, in the email, in the resume, in the interview, in the receiving of the offer, in the counter offer, in the whatever. So that's how you need to think. Great question. But all of you need to challenge yourself. If you think anything is irrelevant. Now, I've given you an example. So let me say this. Let me say this with an example of my life. The first 10 years of my life, that was pretty awesome. I worked at Anderson Consulting, which is now Accenture, and I was an information technologist and management consultant. And I developed software, I designed software, I ran teams, I ran projects, I sold and ran projects, I had accounts, right? Had a nice little evolution there. 10 years, thousands of people under my purview, in my management, raised millions of dollars, and I could reduce that history, which happened between like 88 and 99, down to 2 lines. Actually, it might be a line and a half. Sold and managed large-scale information technology projects, so on and so forth, managed team sizes of up to and sold up to. That's it, my whole life in seconds. 10 years, a decade, that whole decade. Except that from an ability to sell me today, that is relevant, because I had great training when I came out of school that taught me how to do a lot of things that I could actually speak to, that hopefully show in who I am at any moment in time. So don't miss an opportunity. however it may be applied? That's a great question. I know we chewed up a bunch of minutes on that, but that was worth it because I had 3 of these questions over the last couple of days inside the Mile Walk Academy system as well. So I think that's a really good one, and I know it has applicable use for you guys. All right, hope that helps. Adam, great to see you. How's everybody doing today? Oh, I feel good. All right, here we go. Dana, what's the good word there? How are you, my boot camper? Jen, what do you say? Andy, I broke your cardinal rule and gave a minimum salary amount that I'm seeking. Recruiter says I'm $5K over the budgeted amount. Can I go higher on salary at this point, or am I locked in? So Jen, I have a couple things I'm going to show you here in a little while, and I want to just tell you that this is a very simple answer, so we're not going to chew up as many minutes as I did on Adam's response. Even if, okay, wait, let's back up, Jen. Let's give you all something good, because this is happening a lot. Even if Jen wasn't talking salary, let's just say she said something, did something, anything in your life. And in this case, she gives a minimum salary amount. And then you go through the interview process. I'm assuming you mean it was in the early part of the process. So the recruiter said, kind of what's your range, or what's your minimum, or what's your maximum, or what's the lowest you'll go, or however they asked the question. And you gave a number. And if they say, well, you're $5K over the budgeted amount, you say that's okay. That's actually okay. Money is important, but it's only one component, and you give them the script that I gave you, and on you go. When you get down to the end, and they say, well, Jen, you told us that your minimum was 100. We only have 95. And then what you say is, well, okay, but let's hopefully that I've proven, and then you're going to go into the sell mode of why you're worth more. If for whatever reason you give them a number and they hit the number, let's say you said my minimum or my dream number would be 100,000. If you actually did all this up front, and they come down to the end and they say, here's your 100,000, and you say, I want more. I'm gonna counter, right? You're not gonna say it that way, but you're gonna counter. And they say, well, Jen, you told us it was 100. You're going back on your word. And ultimately what has changed is you now have more information. And with more information, you've determined that you are worth more. Okay, that's ultimately your rationale. And any time in your life that you want to change your mind, I got news for you. It's okay to do that if you have new information, right? I don't know why we do this in life. We hold everybody to something that they said, and they're never allowed to change their mind. And don't get me wrong, I don't want people constantly flip-flopping on you. But if they have new information that has altered something that they shared earlier, now let's make sure we have context around these things. But generally speaking, I'm telling you all that anything that you've said throughout the process to the employer while you are in an early stage of a relationship with them, which is what an interviewing process is. And I have so many examples that I can give you, even in the last couple of weeks, where employers initially told the job candidate the job pays X, and the initial offers were so far beyond that. Because why? They had new information that the candidate was worth more. They discovered that through the process. You're discovering that through the process. So whether you gave minimums, maximums, targets, or whatever. Now, this excludes situations like at the end of the process when they say, Jen, we're thinking about this, and you say, well, I'll tell you what, for 100K, I'm yours, I give you my word, and then they come right with the 100, well, then you need to take it, because you should have had the information you needed. And if you gave them your word without all the proper information at that stage in the process, then that's on you, because you should have waited until you got all the information. So, yes, you broke my rule, but we go easy on you guys, right? We know this stuff happens. And so that's how I see that. By the way, I am gonna I've had about 40, give or take, 40 coaching sessions, individual coaching sessions in the last month. Okay, so like in the last kind of rolling 30 days. That's about what I average, about 10 a week. And all I'm doing right now is either negotiating salaries for people, like half of those, let's say almost 20 of them, and the other 20 are like in great stages in the interviewing processes, and I'm prepping them for interviews. So it's like the step before the money. And I just cannot get over the level of pay increase that these folks are getting. I would say the average probably of those 20 people is probably about 30% increase in pay. So I'm telling you that jobs are out there, the employers are paying, there's a lot, and I'm going to be sending you messages about what's actually been happening in the world as far as the turnover that's going on in companies and what that means to you. You might have heard this, people use the expression great resignation. I don't like that. I don't like that terminology because the Great Resignation happened in 2007 when, employers were overpaying to get people because, the world was on fire. Right now, there's people that want to leave their organizations because they're miffed at the behavior the employers had because of COVID. But a lot of that also has to do with just employers it is a volatile period, and they're growing and they're trying to hire people too. So they're in growth mode and people are leaving. So it's a really interesting phenomenon, and I'm going to be talking a lot about that over the next week. So I hope you stick with me. But that's great stuff there, Jen. Dana, what do you got? I'm sending out boss hunting letters and following up multiple times. Most all get read, but 0 responses. I've stopped customizing them this week to speed it up and gain momentum. Not sure where I'm going wrong. Okay, listen, on this part, first off, don't follow up. Okay, send and go. Send it and go to somebody else. Honest to God, you're wasting your time if you're chasing people who are not getting back to you, right? You know the marketing funnel. Don't make me reach in my cupboard here and get it. You need to be filling the top of the funnel. Don't waste your time. And just because they're reading them, I'm not sure exactly if they are reading them. I hit the button and I scroll down my inbox and I'm on an email for a nanosecond, and it probably looks like I read it to somebody, although I didn't. And so the other thing is, there are so many factors. Are you targeting? Okay, so first off, let's just talk to everybody. It's August. People are either on vacation or getting back from vacation. And kids are starting to go back to school. So a lot of people are getting, it depends where you live in the world. A lot of people were on vacation, which means they're back from vacation. And what does that mean? If I'm back from vacation, it means my inbox is flooded and I got a ton of work that I probably didn't do, even if I chipped away at it while I was on vacation. So you could be in a spot where they simply aren't responding because they're too busy. You could be targeting the wrong people. You could be saying the wrong things. They might not have an opening. There can be any number of things. 0 responses is a little bit surprising, but there's a person in my VIP coaching, and he sent me a message yesterday, and he said, Andy, I have the 2-page resume that we worked, and now I'm wondering, because I have a lot of really good stuff on the second page, if I should shrink my resume to 1 page. I think I would do better with a 1-page resume. What do you think? Okay, so let's just talk, your assets and how you display them. And I said to him, I don't care if it's a 1-page resume or a 2-page resume. I don't care about the link to your resume. It's marketing. And what is marketing? Marketing is testing. But when you test, what do you have to have? Context. So what do I mean by this? So when you all, like Dana, are sending out your messages, and this particular person in my VIP coaching, let's say I said to him, send your 1-pager out and send your 2-pager out. But you need to have controlled experiments and you have to have context. So what do I mean? Well, you can't take the 2-page resume and then send it to the CEO of Disney and then send it to all these big time CEOs at blue chip companies and then you also are sending it to bosses, except you're sending it to who should be your boss's boss. You're shooting for your boss's job, and really you're 2 levels below, so you're stepping up into something that they likely are not going to want to groom you for. Boss hunting works when you have the ready-made skills that the boss needs at this moment in time. Okay, so if you sent your 2-page resume and you sent 10 of those to people like that, and then you took the 1-page resume and you sent it to people that were more appropriate, level was better, company size was right, and you got more hits on the 1-page resume, does not mean the 1-page resume was better or that cover letter was better. You have to have the same set of parameters to measure your tests. Now, you're never going to have that. So what do? In the absence of exact controlled experiments, you say, small company, target position, open position, sent it to this person, 100% sure that's the boss, bang, 2-page resume goes. Different company, know it's the boss, know the position, can do it in my sleep, send in the 1-page resume, boom. Right, that's what I mean. So when you're in these situations, you have got to have the data that tells you, I'm doing similar things and I'm watching the pattern of what's actually transpiring. But what I will say is I actually think you might have something of, the August vacation. I talked about this, by the way, in May. And I said, you got 100 days to really make hay. May, June, and July, right? Give or take. And now what's happening, what we're seeing is all the people that have been going through that are already engaged are making the hay. And then we're starting to see this little lull, which will pick up again in a couple of weeks. That's really what I think will happen. So without seeing all your stuff, it's difficult for me to say on that data. And then this other thing is the ATS becoming more of a hiring manager's main source, given so many people are looking and reaching out directly versus reaching out directly. This is phenomenal. Here is what happens. It's the exact opposite of what you think. So the more crowded the applicant tracking system gets, the less they use it. Okay? Because what happens is there's this effect of, there's 1,000 resumes in there. And there's so many people who are stuffing their resumes into these applicant tracking systems, and then the recruiters, by the way, hiring officials do not comb the applicant tracking system. They let the recruiters and the HR people do that. But those people, and they're seeing a pattern of a lot of unqualified folks in their system. They don't rely on it as much, and they just take a few and they try to get them in play, and that's it. And they're not looking at a lot of those things. The bosses, if you all watch me frequently and I promote the boss hunting technique, but I'm telling you, there's not a lot of people that do that. And I know that probably other trainers, speak to it, but I've been talking about it for 6 years, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably the one that talks about it the most. And so, there's 7.7 billion people in the world, and not all of them follow me. So I wouldn't be too worried that hiring officials have their inboxes flooded with people who are targeting them. If they're busy, that's one thing. If you're not the right fit, that's another thing. So there could be many reasons why they're not getting back to you. But it's not, the ATS is never going to be the main source for people like you, Dana. It isn't. It simply isn't. The likelihood that you get plucked out of an ATS is almost nothing. It literally is that bad because of your experience and your level. Now, if you're a more junior person, it might be a little bit more hopeful there. Rainforest, new subscriber, found you on YouTube. Wonderful to have you. How does one give references on their resume if the coworker they've worked with before no longer are at the previous company? Rainforest, I just put out a video on references. It has every single thing you could possibly want to know about providing references. You don't put them on your resume. Check the video out. I go through half the video is all the instruction. The back half of the video, I answer the 16 most commonly asked questions. It's all chapterized for you. If you're impatient, check that out. and I talk about zero references. I go into all this. I go into all that. How should one respond if you are asked, do you have previous work experience in this particular field? Check out my video on how to get the job when you lack the experience. All that's cut up for you already. All right, and welcome to the channel. Aylin, how you doing? Thank you for that. Yes, could I get click the like button. I have to be clear about this. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. All my chatters here I know are subscribed because it's a subscriber-only chat, I believe. And I love that you subscribe. I hate when you miss my stuff, and I hate when you miss the live shows. All right. Kurt, what's the good deal? After exactly 1 year searching, I will finally be starting my new job August 30th. Congratulations. Thank you, everyone, for the support and encouragement. Kurt, huge congratulations to you, my boot camper, and now you can spend more time on the leadership stuff. Great to have you as a lifetime member. Speaking of, actually, I want to talk about this and what I was just saying. Let me give you some announcements here really quick. Number one, on Sunday, I'm going to be sending you a video. The video on Sunday is about how to get your life in order and how to get your job search in order. And I'm going to bring you all the way up into structurally what to do, how to think about how you want to accomplish your goals in and out of your career, how you need to be thinking about this, how you need to stay on track. I'm going to bring you all the way up to the spot where I give you a download about the 15 factors. I call them happiness factors. You can call them your criteria, your needs, that most job seekers are interested in an employer. Actually, I should say in most employees are interested in an employer. And then what I'm doing is on Tuesday, I'm going to take you from that spot from the video on Sunday. We're going to talk about what those 15 factors are, and I'm going to teach you how to actually get at the information from the employer to know if the employer can satisfy you related to that criteria. So it's another deep working session on taking it one level down. If you want to get prepped for that, keep an eye on my video out on Sunday. Stacy can drop the download in the chat because the download is something that is available right now related to the happiness factors. We also have somewhere back in that little pile of books there, the interview intervention book is really good to get yourself in order. It has 39 great questions to ask before you take any job. But if you grab my free, actually $7 material and handling package for the interview intervention book, I give you an ebook, How to Interview the Employer, 75 great questions to ask before you take any job. So you want to check those out. That would be some great prep work for Tuesday's session. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, I have private group coaching with members of my job search coaching program. Those are my boot campers. And I'm actually going to be teaching you a tool that I actually am going to show you a message. So remember, I just got done saying a few minutes ago that I've in the past month or so, I've had about 40 individual coaching sessions, and virtually all of those people in the last month, I've been teaching a technique to negotiate their salary, but to position the salary negotiation itself and to position any counteroffering that they do. And so I've been teaching this technique, which I'm actually going to be teaching on Wednesday. And this was an email I got. And by the way, this works whether you are in a company and going for a promotion, which Mike, the author of this email, did. So on August 15th, he sent me this. We had a session a couple days before this, and he was interviewing with a panel of people. And he said, how do I get them to see the value I'm going to create? There's some residue from some things that went wrong previously. I'm part of the legacy group, and I really want to make an impression, and I want to position myself for a great pay jump. This also is the same tool that I've been teaching to people who are in interviewing processes for new companies. And look what he said. I created the plan we discussed. This is the tool I was talking about. Now, his was 5 pages. Yours will probably be 1 page or 2 tops. But including a roadmap that I shared before the first 3 interviews, it significantly helped the interviews go smoothly. I was able to keep everyone on the future and the plan. and able to redirect back, and basically anytime they got off track. That was by far the most useful tool I have ever had in an interview. And these are the techniques that I've been teaching these folks that I've been coaching individually. And when I was saying that like the average increase was like upwards of 20-30% for these people, I want you to look at some of these. This is what's been happening over the summer. This guy gets a 40% increase in pay and reduction in expenses. We had another person. This guy got a $40,000 increase in May as well, $40K higher. We had this young lady who got a 50% increase, was basically earning about $70,000. They jumped to 105. I think we have, let's see, who else did I have here? There was one other one that I can show you. And Tim, a 60% increase in pay. Now, you might think, well, Andy, these are really, really extreme, except that I'm seeing these continually in my inbox. And any of you that are in the Mile Walk Academy, you just go to the Facebook page and see what these people are posting. This is what I'm talking about when I said there is a very volatile nature to what's happening right now. And you as a job seeker can hopefully position yourself to do the kinds of things that these individuals in my job search coaching program are doing. And so what I'm gonna be doing over the next couple of days, starting on Sunday, is I want to position you to do a couple things. I want to make sure that you're doing the right stuff to get the right kind of job. And then as you interview, you're collecting the information you need to make a good decision, and you're positioning yourself effectively to do that. And I'm going to talk with you about that on Tuesday. That's free. But then on Wednesday, I'm actually going to be teaching you the same technique that I was teaching to these people and teaching to Mike, who was using the tool, and all these other people over the last month that have been using it. And I'm actually going to show you an example or two of what this looks like and how you can use it. And it's especially effective if you are interviewing for a job that is not completely defined. Maybe it's a new role, or maybe all the deliverables or success hasn't been completely nailed down, or if they're making any changes to existing roles, it's going to look a little different when you join, or you're just interviewing, it's a pretty well-defined role, but you need a crutch to show them exactly the value you're going to bring. These are the tools that I'm teaching on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we're actually doing some live case studies. So it's 2 days of private group coaching. If you're interested, that program's on special. So I would definitely check it out. You probably haven't really gotten any messages about it, but I'll send you a couple next week to let you know. But I would really check it out. Maybe Stacy can drop that in the chat. But I'm telling you, there is hay to be made out there. There really is. And I didn't want to be obnoxious. I mean, I just went into my, kind of the success story queue, and there's just a whole bunch. And I thought these were just great stories. And you're going to be seeing a lot more over the next few, I guess next week or so if you're on my email list. So I hope you check them out, because there's lessons in those packages. All right, what do we got here? Let's go to the next one. Jim R., how do? Baby girl, what's the good word? Great to see you. Jules, just sent my first boss hunting email yesterday. Awesome. Good luck. I know it's going to work. Frank Sewell, I want to say, could we all, here's another guy. He's in the boot camp. He's among those people with the emails I just showed you. Frank, I saw that message. Frank just made a career change, and he chimed in the Facebook group that the salary negotiation tactics work. Maybe I'll show you his picture, but could we all give Frank a huge shout out? Just made a career change. I know we've got a number of career changers that have recently been successful. I don't know if they're all here today, but Frank, so great to see you. I hope we all give him a high 10. And Deb Chapman, here's another woman who just got a crushingly high new job. And Bob, and unrepentant Drew, hang in there, man. Remember what I said in my comment back to you, in sequence in which you need to get that. Deb, how are you? Elena, what's the good word? Let's see. Let's see what she's got here. Elena, my leader. Hi, Andy. Some people seem to progress quickly in their careers while others always have to struggle to get to the next level. Why is that? Grateful for some words of wisdom. Okay. There are many factors that contribute to this. However, I did just put a video out. Oh man, maybe Stacy can find it. And Stacy, the one I'm talking about is the one about the 4 best career moves, or that make employers love you, but the cut up version, not the live version. So, Elena, there are many factors that go into who rises quickly. But when I look at the people that I think rise the fastest, it is hard work. That's not cliche, okay? Because you can kiss butt and be political for a period of time, and that works in the short term, but over a long term, that typically does not work, okay? And don't get me wrong, I want you to be great to everybody. I want you to be supportive. I want you to get along with the folks you work with and all that good stuff, be congenial. But that to me is an ingredient, not the ingredient. But in this video that I was referring to, I talked about the way in which you approach your evolution, and that the greatest and fastest risers and the ones who can actually sustain the pace, most of the work that they do is outside of office hours. Meaning you don't get great between 9 and 5. You get great between 5 and 9. Okay, so it's all the other time that you're spending. And so in this video, I talked about there's a trade that you have, whatever that is. Are you looking to improve every single day in getting better? Are you always looking at how can I get better and then executing on it? And it's not just how do I do this faster, how do I do this better? Certain skill sets that you grow will make you better faster, and you will get more ROI out of building some skills first versus other skills first. That's one thing that you've got to constantly do. The other thing is a lot of times they have the right coaches and mentors, or they're studying the coaches and the mentors and learning from them. There's also a desire and a curiosity to actually learn how what they're doing fits in all the other components and all the things that are happening around them, so they have much better and bigger pictures. So actually you're a leader, and in the leadership session that we just did on August 13th, I talked about the evolution of the different or the labels, basically, of going from a beginner to an intermediary to an expert to a master. And so I'm not sure if you've seen that, but I would highly recommend watching that, because I also gave you inside your workbook, inside that program in the session, is the template I would use to outline how I would grow and how I would identify the skills that I need to build. But think about the obsession that you need to have with the skills that make you great at what you're doing. So ones I like to use from my life. So as an example, 6 years ago, when I made a commitment, actually just over 6 years ago, when I made a commitment to becoming a trainer in this capacity, I knew hiring like upside down. I could be in my sleep, right, and know it. I knew job searching and what effectively worked. The content and the material itself was second nature to me. You guys have made me better since, because you've drawn it out of me. But there were other things that I needed to learn and skill sets that I needed to do effectively in order to be able to be a great trainer in this capacity. I had to learn the camera, right? I had to learn the microphone, how to concentrate, how to focus on the delivery, how to make sure I structure my teaching in a manner that resonates with you, even though the content itself is something that I already was an expert at or a master at. And so you cannot imagine how much time I allocated on my calendar to build the skills. So, Elena, what I would say to you is if you wanted high performance coaching from me, the first thing that we would do is we would sit down and I'd say, okay, where are you? Let's assess. You give me your assessment of where you are. Then we'll try to be more objective about that. Hey, I would call, if you're able to do this, this, and this, I would label you here. So for purposes of you and me, this is what we're going to call you. You're benchmarked here. Where do you want to go? I need to get to here. I'm here. I want to get to here. That's great. What skills are going to get you here? An obsession over what it takes to get there. Somebody who is really on a fast track is obsessed with the skills I need to develop to go from here to here are these 8 things. And then what do you have to do? Knowing it's great, but then you have to allocate time on your calendar to actually practice and build those skills. And the first thing I always ask people whenever they want high performance coaching is, show me your calendar. Okay, you're here, you want to go here. Where's the time allocated on your calendar over the next week or 30 days, I'll be gracious, that you're going to grow these skills that get you from here to here? And most people say, well, I'm just going to pick that up on the job. No, you're not. You're not. That's not. Being in a job is about doing the job. It's not about growing all the skills. Yes, you will inherently get some benefit, but to be really great, to move really fast, you're going to have to do it on your own, and you're going to have to set time aside at night, on the weekends, early mornings, and at other places. I would definitely check out in the leadership program that you're in the vault. Go into the success and high performance category. Check those out. But I would also look at that section about coaching people. But actually, good for you. Guess what, Elena? September 10th, the session on September 10th is about becoming the best at your trade. So I'm actually going to give you the formula on September 10th. But in the meantime, that's how I would start thinking about it. But that's a great one. It really is, because most people they just say, I want the promotion. You gotta earn it. By the way, thank you. This shirt is actually Juneberry, not to be confused with my purple shirt, which of course has a yellow horsey. But I appreciate that. I appreciate that compliment. Yes, Juneberry. This is very Juneberry. I know the camera it doesn't really always show or illuminate the color. Great to see you, Deb, too. Anna from Spain. Cornelia, what's the good word? Great to have you. Hi, MJ from Dallas, and Anna from San Diego. My boot camper, what's the good word for you? And Carlos from Boston. Rita, hey to you from Toronto. Lee Ann, super excited to have you. Let's see, Tom Phillips, Ariana, my space ninja. Rob? Okay, baby girl, had a convo with the GM about performance, positive conversation, but taken aback when he said after over 3 months, scares him, I'm learning very quickly. Please advise how to handle step back, improvement needed. Baby girl, I would love to. I'm not quite sure I understand this. You had a conversation with who I'm assuming is a leader in your boss in your company, and you were taken aback when he said after over 3 months it scares him, I'm learning very quickly. I don't understand. That's what should be happening. You do not slow down because you're learning too fast for somebody. I'm not sure I understand this. I would not slow myself down. Please advise how to handle step back, improvement needed. Scares him, I'm learning. I'm really not sure what you're asking. It sounds to me like you're learning very fast, and are you asking me how you should slow down? And I would say don't do that. And if I totally misunderstood that, let me know. Mike McGreen, how are you? G-Day, hi Andy, been applying for 3 jobs a day, sending CV to a person. Okay, so that's better. Let's get your vocabulary. You haven't been applying for jobs. Applying for jobs is not job searching. It sounds to me like you're networking and you're hunting, so you're job searching. I love that. 11 emails sent. 3 came back asking to submit via ATS due to GDPR. Would you say it's best to do both email and ATS right away? G-Day, I am not sure if you are in my job search coaching program, but if you are, I have a boss hunting Bible which explains all the boss hunting techniques as well as how you should respond to any response or rebuttal or anything like, you need to put it in the applicant tracking system. I'm going to refer you to the recruiter. Hey, that's not my department. It's so-and-so down the hall. No response or whatever. I go through all the 8 or 9 or 10 most common responses, and then I tell you how to respond. Now that's in my premium program. But the question you're asking, just for anybody who's interested in getting in it, what you're asking me, I would not put it in the ATS right away. I would wait for the response, and then when they responded, in your case, for example, I would then say, I'm happy to put it in the applicant tracking system. Would you be open to sharing with me the name of the recruiter so I can or recruiter responsible for this position so I can follow up with them to ensure they receive my resume or something like that? And then there's some language in a script that I give you. But that's what I would do. I would not recommend putting it in both of them right away. I really would not. The ATSs are really not your friend. They really aren't. So if you are in my boot camp, we used to call it the Job Search Boot Camp, but it's my coaching program. We have all this for you. Namritha, how do I do a highlight in my resume? Check out my video on YouTube about how to write the career highlight. It will tell you. Leanne, met with someone yesterday who paced back and forth during the entire interview. I attempted to break the cycle for fear I had lost him. What might that behavior indicate? I have absolutely no idea what that behavior indicates for that person. I don't know if they were bored, uptight, or had too much caffeine. I'm not sure. Now, it appears from that, I'm assuming you mean you met in person with somebody. I would find it odd if they were doing that on a Hangouts or Zoom or Skype or something, or Microsoft Teams or whatever it is. But I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. Jules, my friend introduced me to a recruiter at her company who doesn't recruit in my business unit but set up a call with me just to help. What questions to ask her? How to use the call wisely. The question to ask this person, this is kind of an odd situation. And I would say it's odd only because if this recruiter is willing to take the time to talk to you, this recruiter should have been a little easier on herself and just referred you to the other recruiter who's actually recruiting and say, hey, we got this referral. Her name's Jules. It was a referral from so-and-so. So her background looks really good. It's in your department. I'd have a quick call with her. That's what the recruiter should have done. But you're in a position that's kind of unique. So if it was me, I would say, I really appreciate the time. I recognize you're not the recruiter recruiting for this. Thank you so much. Fawn all over the person for taking the time out to talk to you. Say, I want to, obviously I want to make this call as productive as possible. Based on my background, do you think I would be a good fit in any particular area? And I would love to ultimately get connected with somebody who recruits for those areas, but I'd also love to learn more about the company from you, what kind of people do well, and ask cultural related questions. Ask if you're a fit in those areas. Ask, is there anything particular about your background that recruiter thinks the other people would find attractive, so that you can gather intel, G2 we like to call it with the military terms, so that when you position yourself to speak to the other recruiters, you're better positioned and you know what to highlight. I just think it's odd that recruiter would do that. I would just, if they're going to talk to you, they probably should just have the person who's most suited to handle you talking with you first. But that's how I would approach that. Hey, Jules, one other thing for all of you guys. In the video I released a couple weeks ago about 12 truths, 12 HR truths every job seeker should know, if you go to the 1355 mark exactly in the video, I rattle off 8 questions you should ask up front. I do it in 20 seconds, so I'm going to be respectful of your time. Go right to the video, go to 1355, click go, and I rattle, in a few seconds, I rattle them off. Jules, arm yourself with those for the next conversation. All right, Daisy Guzman, hey to you. my boot camper. And Brandon, the detail guy. Question asked for up level on an initial interview, knew the dollars in posted band would be too low. Feedback said I was perfect for the up level, but the hiring manager went with an internal because they couldn't afford. Did I ask too early? Andrew, I would never ask for anything until the very end. So all of you, for a couple things, your stock is way down here, okay? You could be the greatest thing in the world, the most perfect fit, but they don't even know you. And the hiring official, I'm assuming that, the hiring official wasn't even the person that you were speaking to if it was an initial interview. It could have been, but I'm assuming it was a recruiter or an HR person. If that's the case, I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't say anything. I would get into the process and prove myself and let them tell you, oh, hang on, we need you at a higher level. And then get engaged with somebody who could actually observe that you might have been better than the internal candidate. Now, the other thing that's important about asking too early, because this is really a great question he raises. Any time, I've talked about this in several videos, and if you check out my salary negotiation playlist, there's going to be a video in there about this salary mistake that you're making that you don't even know you're making. It's an innocent blunder. But basically what we do is, and this is one of them that you did here, is we ask for things or accept things along the way before we get to the offer stage. And what's happening is when we're making these requests, number one, the first mistake is your stock's not the highest. It should be the highest at the end, okay? Should be crescendoing at the end. The second thing is if they actually make the concession, even though your stock isn't the highest, you now owe them one. So you're going to the table, the negotiating table, already have taken something. More vacation days, work from home convenience, an extra day at home, anything. Okay? And any time they offer something, defer it. Say, you know what, that's nice, but we can figure that out at the end. And so you have not accepted anything. So that when you go and you make your counteroffer, you're going to ask for the whole kitchen sink. And you haven't taken anything. But if you've already taken something and then you start asking for more, it's going to look like you're greedy even if you're not. But these are subtle mistakes that people make that they don't even know that they're making them. Check that video out. Stacy, I can't remember what the dang title was for that, but I think Andrew would really benefit from that one. Ian, I just graduated with my master's in human resources from USF. I have never worked in HR before, but I have over 10 years experience in management. What advice would you give me for finding HR jobs? So what'll happen is you will have an opportunity, I bet, to break into HR. Again, going back to the first question that I was asked today from Adam about, irrelevant, his 2012 to 2017 irrelevant work. For you, Ian, those 10 years of experience in management, so you probably have even more years of experience in your life. You need to pull forward what the most important and aligned skills are that would map to being an effective human resources person. And what you could also do in your resume from a marketing standpoint is you could either in your career profile at the end of the second pair. So assuming you're familiar with my template, and if you're not, just download the free resume template from my YouTube channel somewhere. And if you'll notice, I recommend 2 paragraphs in your career profile, which is effectively an executive summary of you. But in the executive summary, if you do have something like this where you're trying to make a shift, you do 1 or 2 techniques I recommend. At the very end of the career profile, put recently attained Masters in Human Resources from USF. Okay, something like that. Okay, bang, they see the education, so they know that that's part of your path and your direction because you said recently, comma, and then said that, right? That's the last thing you said. Or you could also put a whole education section above your highlights section. So you'd go career profile, education, highlights, if and only if you want to make a career change as somebody who's been working for a while. I would not have the education section up for anybody who was not making a career change and taking advantage of recent education. So that's what I would do. And then what I would also do, if it's me, the number one tactic for you, this is the place I would start. I would not monkey around with anything else. I would make a list of everybody I ever worked with. I would then find wherever they work now. I would then look at those companies and say, do any of those appear desirable to me? If they do, I would contact my friend and say, hey, remember when we worked back at such and such? Okay, I'm now moved into human resources and I'm looking to break into human resources. I'd love to get connected with the people in your company. Could you make a referral? Right, kind of thing. Because that person can go to bat for you and say, man, that Ian guy, super dude, right? He was great. He was a blah, blah, and I know they could tee it up for you. But that's how I would do that, because you want to go with somebody you know, and they might be able to pull you into their company. That's how I would do that. Tom, hey Andy, I have a felony conviction from over 20 years ago. I'm 45 and am currently working at a low-paying job but struggle to find more substantial work. Okay, I have wait, hang on. I think you are... I have a bachelor's degree. Hey, is that you? Hold on. I have a BS degree in mathematics, and I feel a lifetime of experience to add value to a company. I've submitted resumes to over 200 jobs over the last year and a half, and I got one interview. Okay, now, first thing, felony or no felony, misdemeanor, I don't care what it is. If you are going through the applicant tracking system, and you said I submitted, if you just said to me and you didn't tell me you had any kind of conviction, and you just said, hey, I have 200 jobs or I applied to, and you said I got one interview, I'd say, okay, don't do that. I don't care who you are, okay? I just stay out of them. Now, if you're going in and you have a felony conviction, usually they will want to know when it was, and there's a little bit more information they collect, and that's more than it's half your life ago. Right. And so, I'm all about giving people opportunities, and especially if you have degrees and other things that you value, that you can, skills you can leverage to contribute value to those companies. I would not be, wait, you keep going on here. I feel my resume is good. Should I give up? No. So I'm going to say the same thing. You need to be using other techniques like networking, boss hunting, and other things. And I would be trying to if you are in a low paying job, I would be trying to break into some corporate, if that's your desire, to get into a white collar job, whatever it is. But I would be doing it by trying to get into an entry level position where you can apply your mathematics degree or some of the other skills that you have. And so that's what I would do. And and believe me, companies hire people with felonies and misdemeanors every day. But how you go about attaining that interview will help them overlook that issue. So when you're applying online, there's nobody there to go to bat for you. There's nobody that has any, again, back to my word, context. If you don't have, context is everything. So if you don't have that, so I would, yes, give up on putting your resume in the applicant tracking system and start networking and going through other routes. That's what I would do. And by the way, boss hunting, my boss hunting technique, if you're not familiar with that, because I'm not really familiar with your name, is on my YouTube channel, and you can try that. And that to me is networking. Mr. 97, what's the good word? If I get an email, if I can't get the email and need to boss hunt through LinkedIn, do I send the same content and attach resume in a message as I would for an email? Yes, and yes. Use the same language, attach resume. Laura Cobb, I have not read your story. It's still sitting on my desk. I will email you the moment I read it. Adam Stark, sorry to ask a quick follow. I understand you can extract gold from irrelevant jobs, but can I at least condense them despite being more recent? Yes. Carlos, you are a boot camper. I am boss hunting and reached out to a former colleague, but he won't respond. I think he holds a grudge because I was promoted and he wasn't. Should I worry if I network around him? No, don't worry. Go around him. If somebody's not going to get back to you, then Carlos, I want you to get familiar with this move. It's like that. Flicking a bug. Just on you go. Folks, Carlos, everybody, you need to be moving forward, not chasing people who aren't getting back to you. It's not a good use of your time. It really is not. So I would go around them. You giving them a shot or two. If it is somebody that you used to know pretty well, good acquaintance, but still. Jules, in terms of send and go regarding boss hunting emails, how long to wait before sending another boss hunting email out to someone in the same company? 2 weeks. DB, hiring manager asks about relocation in the first interview. Not willing, but want to sell myself first. Okay, I already like this. But want to sell myself first answered, will consider. Okay, how to revisit remote work in the process. Or should I have closed the door? First interview. Depends. You're looking at the guy who believes in the art of the possible. Man, I never think I'm going to lose, and I'm always keeping the door open. I consider what else is competing for my time. So let me give you the context about this. I feel like if given the time, I can convince anybody of anything. That's truly how I feel. It's not a mean thing. It's not a manipulative thing. It's just that if I want something, I'm going to make it happen, okay? That's how I feel. And I'm always thinking long-term about what has to happen in order for me to do that. Now, however, on the other hand, anytime I say yes to something, I say no to something else, right? Meaning, if I have to go and train for 3 hours, that's 3 hours I can't spend working or with my wife or with my friends or whatever, right? That's right. Okay, you go into a job interview, same thing. If you are unemployed, I would say yes to everything. If you are fully employed and hate your job, I would say yes to everything. If you are fully employed and generally like your job and you generally are happy and somebody says, well, no, you got a DB, you got to relocate, then you say, I'm out of here, right? So context matters. But if I'm unemployed or I really don't like my job or I have all the time in the world to investigate these possibilities, I'm going. And then when you get down to the end, dang, you know what? Can I, let me see if I can show you something really fast because this is really germane. You know, I had this woman who, she and I, let me see if I can do this really quick. She and I went back and forth, and she had a situation where, let me see if I can get this right. Bear with me, folks. Okay. Here we go. I can't believe I was able to pull this up. All right. Do you see this? All right. This here, this woman, Elian, she was interviewing with a startup in Chicago. She lives in New York. This is her and me in the system negotiating her salary and her move and all this other stuff. They wanted her to move, okay? And she was concerned because the comp wasn't quite where she wanted it to be, okay? So she and I are going back and forth in the system. Andy, here's what it looks like. Andy, I got the 8 interviews. I got the offer. Hold your applause. It's not that great. And the base salary's a little low. What should I do? So then I said to her, okay, you go back and you counter, all right? You go back and you counter. And then she had some questions about taxes and bonuses. You see all the stuff I share, percentage basis, aggregate basis? This is what it's like to have me at your fingertips when you need help. And so here's what I would do. Tell them to come up, and then so on and so forth. And then as we kept going back and forth, she started to tell me how she was going to go about doing this. But the main thing that I was telling her is, now you got to figure out how to save yourself. Whoops, sorry about the on the fly here. But now you got to figure out how to save yourself. If it was me, I would probably stay and work remotely. So make negotiating the remote work part of the deal so that you could buy yourself time and they would get more comfortable. That would minimize your risk. You wouldn't have the expenses. Anyway, this is what was happening in a negotiation. She and I did this over a 36-hour period. Okay, so what ultimately happened was they did meet her. They were flexible on the negotiation time. On the relocation time. So when I'm looking at UDB and I'm talking about, hey, well, how do I, I'm not really sure I want to do this. Number one, there might be a possibility where you like them, they like you, and I will tell you this about her. If my guess is when Elian gets in this job, if she kicks butt and she wants to stay in New York versus move to Chicago, my guess is they will let her. Again, the art of the possible. Now, I don't know that for sure, but what you did is you took a step and you're giving yourself what? More time to collect more information. In your case, what are you doing? You're actually saying, all right, you know what? Let me see how this goes. When you get down to the end, you might not know if you might not change your mind. And if you don't think you're going to change your mind, and you don't change your mind at the end, you might be able to negotiate something where you start working with them. The more entrenched you become, they were not going to want to let you go, especially not in the environment we're in today, not to mention the environment we're going to be in a year. So these are all things that you need to consider. And I would go in and I would not close the door unless I was saying yes to continuing was saying no to something else I simply did not want to sacrifice. So sorry, I didn't mean to make you guys dizzy with some of that, but her story is just so fantastic, and exactly all the different things that had to happen over the course of what was about 2 days. She and I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until we figured out how to get her something palatable. These are complicated scenarios. And so it helps to have somebody at your fingertips who knows what they're doing. So anyway, that's another case study that I'm hoping to share with you. Maybe I'll share that next week. But I love to dial those up when I see them, because I just think they're great illustrations, because you guys you're all going through the same stuff. It all looks a little different, but it's all the same problems. It really is. Jetting Chen, how are you? Michael Lee, same to you. Been unemployed for 2 years plus due to childcare and also COVID. What is your best recommendations for getting back into the job market? I think it is understandable, and organizations will be empathetic to your situation. I also think I would do nothing differently other than everything that I recommend to people. The networking, reaching out to your network, boss hunting. It is okay to put in your resume a little sentence at the end of your career profile that says, returning to workforce after, last 2 years with childcare or something like that. And then, it's okay if they see a 2-year gap. Don't you make a big deal out of it. They won't make a big deal out of it. They ask what you've been doing. You said, I've been taking care of my child or my children. And I would be boss hunting, and I would be networking, and I would be all that stuff. And if you're a bullseye for, I don't know what you do, but if you're a bullseye for something and you're a more junior resource, put your resume into applicant tracking systems. Medina T, where you been? Sandy Briggs, welcome to the leadership program. If you guys want to amp up your career, you want to grow faster, you want to have a better and more organized life, you want to live life to the fullest, that's what's in the leadership program. My job search coaching program is about finding the job. The leadership program is about developing leadership qualities that serve your entire life and your career. Namritha, how do I market my skills, achievements, and personal projects on LinkedIn? I would go to my video on LinkedIn about how to get noticed on LinkedIn. It is exactly what you need. Check that out. Deb, that's so nice of you to connect. Anyone, ISO, FinTech landscape, CU focused, experienced. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Hang on, let's put this up here. Deb is one of our beloved boot campers who just got a huge raise in her new job. And if you fit to any of that and you want to reach out to her, please do. And by the way, speaking of LinkedIn, if we are not connected on LinkedIn, please send me a connection request. I love to be connected to you because I want to lend you my network, but also I want to be able to see what you're doing. I want to be able to see what issues you're facing. I want to see what you're sharing. If you follow me, that's wonderful, but then you only get to see what I'm circulating. I want to see what you're circulating. So it really helps me as a coach understand what issues you're facing and what the trends are and all that good stuff. So I'd love to be connected with you, and if my network can help you, I'm happy to lend my network as well. Oh, hey, this is nice. Maybe Stace, can you drop my Jobscan link in? I did a session with Jobscan with Jessica Naff about a month ago now, and actually it was the 22nd of it was the 22nd of July, Thursday live office hours. If you want to check it out, I have a referral link to Jobscan. It's free to start. They give you like a couple of weeks or a month trial or something like that, and I do get a few bucks if you end up signing up through my link. It's just a few bucks. It's not going to get me rich or anything. But check it out. Jules said, for all you hesitating on using Jobscan, it really is a helpful tool. Use Andy's link, even if boss hunting and not using the ATS, which is actually what I recommend. If you actually have the position description, you run it through Jobscan, and then you take that tailored resume and you send that to the boss or management resources or whoever it is appropriate in the company you're targeting. Yeah, it is a nice tool, but remember, it is just a tool. Leanne Bagley, any recommendations for how to handle an interviewer doubting the experiences and results you shared? It was dismissive feeling during the interview. Oftentimes, when something like that happens, you need two things that make you believable. Number one, the organization and the way in which you package the story of how you did what you did, and the results themselves, the precision in the details you provide, and the rationale behind how you came up with those numbers. That's what makes it believable. If they were dismissive, then you need to clarify and ask. I would literally ask, is that, do you understand how do you understand how I would come up with something like that? Let me share. And I would tell them, I understand what you're saying. And remember this, you need to be able, in the way you tell your stories, to back up that your storytelling, it sounds plausible that a person who's telling me this story is saying it in a manner that's so knowledgeable and in complete command that I would believe that they would be able to do that. That person who just outlined that to me would be able to run a $2 million project. They would be able to, whatever it is, right? Command, attention of the steering committee, right? That kind of stuff. That's what makes it believable. Deborah Chapman, next Wednesday, this is good for you too, even though you now have this big new fat paycheck. Next Wednesday, I am teaching. By the way, I'm not just teaching what the tool is and how to I'm giving you the scripts. I'm going to show you what you need to package and the tool you need to put together anytime you need to make a preemptive offer to their offer, meaning here we're getting definition around what my role and value will be. Or if you're putting it to actually the best, and because what I'm coaching a lot is people that are going into slightly new positions and organization. Here's why this is happening rampantly. People in my coaching program, and I'm assuming around the world, are going into interviews. They're interviewing for jobs that are either not clearly spelled out or the organization does not have a absolute command of what this person is going to do and the value this person is going to contribute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what to say exactly and how to tee it up, then what to pull together, and then what to say when you walk them through it. And then this is how I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to do and what it's going to mean to you. There is absolutely no vagueness in their ability to imagine the smash you're going to do when you get there. Okay, that's the problem that a lot of you have, is that you have difficulty articulating the exact value you're going to bring because you don't have the tool that points them to say, this is what this means. Okay, and it's easy to develop if you know what to develop and what information to collect, then how to say it. And then I'm going to teach you how to prime the message and then frame the discussion so that they see it the way you want to see it. So that mic, that message that I put up there, that was what we did. That was just one of the guys. We have others that a couple guys are going into new positions that they're investigating, and the companies that they're working with they don't understand how to pay them. And as you can imagine, the pay is lighter than the person wants. But except the organization feels like, well, we just pay base and bonuses, how we do that, or we just think this is about what this job should pay. It's like, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. This person's going to add a ton of value, but they couldn't see it. So he sketched out. I'm actually going to show you what we did with him. It's pretty cool. That is in my job search coaching program. You got to be a paying member to get that. But that's what we're going to go through, and it works for your pay raises. It's the same thing. You would do the same thing if you're getting promoted or if you're going into a new area in your company. It's really, really powerful stuff. I'm having to constantly come up with new ways and techniques to arm you guys because everybody else is copying my stuff. So I always have to be out front, make sure no one keep up. John Marks had a great interview with owner 2 weeks ago. Owner liked what I had to offer and said to send my financial requirements. Sent in last week, haven't heard anything. Should I send a follow-up next week or what? First things first, never, as in never, email anything in your interviewing process that is anything other than logistics. When are we going to talk? What time? Where's my Zoom link? I'll be at the office at whatever time. That's it. You do not send anything. Don't send questions. Don't send salary requirements. Don't send anything that you are not physically there to explain. Okay? Because maybe he just said, hey, wait, John, by the way, you're my guy. You're here every week. I love that. If he said, hey, that John Marks guy, he's asking for way too much, that's so, crazy. Well, maybe yes, maybe not. Maybe you were open to different ways of getting paid. Maybe you were open to different bonuses. Maybe, there's no way you can go through all that in an email. So if it was me, I would call him and I would say, I wanted to follow up. I did send you some information a couple weeks ago. I'm wondering if I get your thoughts and we could talk it through. That's what I would do. And I would be ready for that call. Uzoma, great to see you. And Dawn, Deborah, thank you again. This program works. It does. It does. Sanandra, how are you doing? Let's see. Joe Winner, my beloved Joe Winner. How are you? Well, you did the whole great move to the East Coast, back at it, and I'm looking forward to learning more. Can I say something? Okay, so this happens, right? This has happened. This is Joe, and he is in my job search coaching program. We call them boot campers because it used to be called the boot camp. And he moved. Joe, I hope you don't mind me sharing some of this. This is a great success story. He was out of work for a little while. He ended up getting a huge pay raise. They moved him and his family from, the Midwest to the East Coast. And that was, a couple of years ago. But what's happened, like with COVID, we had people that were boot campers that got their job, and then these kind of things happen, or for whatever reason, company folds, disband the unit, something didn't work out, who knows. But every single one of these people, because it's a lifetime access program, they can jump right back in. There's no additional charges. They could come. There's 24 live coaching sessions or more a year, and you could come to those forever. No additional maintenance costs, no nothing. You get online support, that whole Alien thing with all those stuff you saw me and her going back and forth, that's in there too. That's what online support means. It means having access to me in the system when you have questions. So it's really a wonderful program, and then they jump right back in, and then they freshen up on the tactics. But that's another thing, and I'm mentioning all this because the program's on special, and it's on special till next Thursday. So I hope if you're interested, I hope you give it a look. And Joe, great to see you again. Sorry for the circumstances, but we'll get you back and rolling. And Stacy, can you maybe drop that? Maybe I don't know if you dropped that in the chat. Can you pin that up at the top? Because we're going to be on for another 10 minutes. Lucy Rodriguez, how are you? Recruiters contact you. However, you're not sure if they're spamming everyone. I doubt it. John Simpkins tried to clear time today, but alas, I missed again. All right. Well, hang in there. Lucy again, do you have any tips on how to apply for jobs that are higher than your current position? For example, staff accountant wanting to get a position as a senior accountant. I would not. The only time I would ever do that, I'm not being dead serious, in this environment, is if I was talking to a friend or somebody who loves me or a boss who loved me, and there was an opportunity to step up into something, and they knew you already, and they knew you wouldn't be a project. If you are applying for jobs and you're here and you're applying for this, there's no way you're going to get that, or it's going to be rare. So I don't have recommendations because I wouldn't do it. The only way I'd go this way is if I was networking my way up. And that does happen, where somebody will step you up, but you better know somebody. So my recommendation is you go through your connections. MC Fact, I used a full desk executive recruiter. Oh, I used to be. Oh, I know whereof you speak. A full desk executive. I got burned out. If I decide to go back into it, what is the first step to doing it on my own? Okay, I love this. Now, you guys might not know what MC Fact is talking about. Andy LaCivita, Mile Walk Andy, is an executive recruiter, full desk, and an owner. And what a full desk means is it means I have to go and sell the work, meaning I have to secure the corporations, the clients, and talk to them about their the opportunities and hiring. And then I have to go out and I have to call and recruit the people. That's the full desk, not a half a desk, one or the other. Selling half the desk, recruiting half the desk. This is a full desk. So if this is me and I ever decided I want to go full, I want to close all this up, I'm going to go back recruit full time. First thing that I would do is I would call all my old clients and let them know I'm back in the game. The other thing that I would do is I would just start calling like you've been there all the time. I've been in business since whatever, right? That's it. Start it up. You know how to secure the clients. Go right to it. All you need is one to get rolling. That's what I would do. That's a great question. Boy, I don't know. We haven't gotten that one. Namritha, I have a personal project, a live website that is the highlight on my resume. Mentors told me it is good enough to sell to other businesses. Can I include in a career profile top of the resume? Well, the career profile is a summary. The highlights are specific benefits that you have helped someone, some group, some community, some market achieve. Customers or whatever, or your company. Now, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that your mentors think it's good enough to sell to other businesses. Are you talking about your website or your actual, what the website represents, your company? I'm not sure what that means, but if it's a service that you provide or products that you provide, and that is something that you've done that has helped you gain business experience, then what I would do is I would actually put that in my resume as a highlight, if that's the case. Yes, where ATS is where resumes go to die. Okay, wait, I just realized, Stacey, you probably can't pin something. So folks, couple things. I want to make some announcements because we're going to be on here till 12:30. Sunday, I got an email coming out. Make sure to check out. It's a video. Tuesday, we're here live. Got a whole show, a whole new teaching for you. It's all free. Wednesday and Thursday, if you are in my job search coaching program, so if you are a full-on boot camper, we've got the salary and the tool and the techniques discussion. That's all new teaching for you guys too. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be picking a few people to do some live case studies. And those folks, the clock is already up on those. If you're in the boot camp, you need to have submitted your lottery ticket to me already. And I'll be picking somebody probably over the weekend. We'll be contacting you on Monday when Kara's back from vacation, thank God. So I want to let you know that. Now, the program is on special for $100 off until Thursday. So, you can join us Wednesday at 11 Central, Thursday at 11 Central. And if you can't join for those private group coaching sessions, we give you the replays too. So you're going to get all the tools and all the techniques as well. So and if you have any questions, support@milewalk.com. I'm support@milewalk.com right now. Kara's off in California helping and coping with her daughter going to college. So, but if you need anything, let me know. Support@milewalk.com and we will take care of you. But otherwise, everything's out on the page. Baby girl, yes. You know what? Hold on. Hang on. I want to tell you guys all this. This is okay, I'm glad I understood that. Because I know it's economic. Like, you got to be within like 200 characters or whatever this is. Exactly what she's asking. I will take your advice and not slow down, keep moving and learning. I think because he didn't expect to have competency of someone performing the job and be likable. Never, never shield your light for somebody. Okay? If it's too bright for them, they ain't your friend. Okay? And don't do that at work, and don't do that in your personal relationships either. Okay? You don't dampen yourself for that. Go find new friends if they don't like it. Now, don't get me wrong, don't be obnoxious. But my point is, wait, I'm talking about everything. That means all you PhDs and master's degrees and all that who ask me questions like, should I take that stuff off my resume? That's dimming your light. Did you not work hard to get those degrees? Put them on there. Be proud, right? Of those. So I'm glad I understood that. Jules, my boot camper, what do you got here? Spoke to 2 senior contacts at one of my target companies. They both said that the company insists that the applicants go through the ATS and then a Google Facebook style interview worth applying. Sure, why not? Go ahead. But this is ridiculous. I would go to my contacts and say, can you put an email in over to whoever's the person and let them know I just submitted my resume in the applicant tracking system? Use whatever you got at your disposal. Lucy, do I have a video on non-compete agreements? So I'm going to answer something for you right now. Non-compete agreements are generally difficult to enforce. The ones that are so ironclad or more ironclad are the ones that specify the companies specifically that you are not allowed to go to. And specifying companies specifically also could be a clause like, you are not allowed to go to any of our customers as well. And if that's a customer, then you're not allowed. Or you're not allowed to go to company XYZ and ABC and DEF and so on, right? Now, non-competes they're hard to enforce, and they're, when I am looking at an employment agreement for somebody and there are general guidelines like, we don't want you to be soliciting employees when you leave. We don't want you to go to our competitors and things of that nature. Well, you could make arguments, this company is, not a full competitor. They're a partial competitor. Like, you can get into all kind of hairy situations. But I guess what I'd really be concerned about is, what part of the non-compete agreement are you concerned about? And I might be able to comment on that. But I do not get too hung up on them. And then it becomes a matter of statute. How long? 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. It could be. There's a whole variety of these things. Let's see, Jan Joy. I went for specialist position, and as a result, I requested salary of 110. Then just prior to the hire and further discussions, they changed my title to senior manager. Sounds good. That's awesome from salary, but stayed at 110 when should be 130. What to do? I don't know. Again, I do not request salaries. If you're negotiating, then you're negotiating everything at once. You're negotiating title, you're negotiating salary. But just because they gave you a higher title doesn't necessarily mean they think they're going to get more value out of you. So again, for those that are going to be coming to the session next Wednesday, this is what we're going to be going through, is how you get clarification and how you make sure there's an agreement as to what you're getting paid and how you're getting paid and all that good stuff. Just because you have a higher title doesn't mean they need to raise the comp. Your interpretation of it may be, I should earn more, but you requested 110. Now, if they said, well, we're going to give you this title, so Jan, they said that we're going to give you this title, did the responsibilities change? If the responsibilities changed, now what do we have? We have new information. We have a greater set of responsibilities, which means what? A greater set of value. Then you need to make the argument that it's 130, not 120. So it's not supposed to be anything. It's you need to make the argument that you're worth whatever the additional dollars are because of the additional value you're going to provide that coincides with the additional responsibilities they added as a result of giving you a higher title. That's how you got to think of that. That's good stuff. All right, folks. I love you all, man. I got to run. And okay, Sunday, the video I think is called How to Start Your Job Search in the Right Place. Got a free download. Tuesday, I'm live, and we're gonna take the happiness factors, that download, and I'm gonna break it down and how to think about how to ask questions and then what you want to poke at. These are like, how do I assess the employer's behavior? Okay, that's Tuesday. Then if you want to join the job search coaching program on Wednesday, got the salary stuff. On Thursday, we got some live case studies. Those are private to those members. But you also get like the online support. You also get the whole recorded program and all that other good stuff and lifetime access. And I have a satisfaction guarantee too. So it's like risk-free. All right, you guys, I'll see ya. Y'all be good. Have a great weekend. We'll see ya Sunday in your inbox and Tuesday live. Special live office hours on Tuesday next week.